You have just dismissed your client. Your exam gloves and mask have been removed and discarded. On the back counter are your safety glasses, the client's safety glasses, and hand mirror. Upon return to your contaminated unit, you enter. Do not touch anything as everything is contaminated, and you wash your hands with soap and water. Taking a paper towel, you're going to use that paper towel to open the contaminated cupboard doors, the outside of the doors, and also open the drawer that contains the utility or sanitization gloves. Okay. Taking a new clean mask, you're going to take that out, position it on your face correctly. And you're going to remove the supplies from the cupboard and place on the contaminated counter. So your suction solution and your disinfectant wipes. Utility gloves are removed from the bag, but the bag is placed back in the drawer, and the utility gloves are draped over the side of the sink. Using another paper towel, you're going to close the cupboard doors and the drawer, and discard. Before placing your utility gloves on, you're going to wash your hands again with soap and water. And then you may place your gloves on. The safety glasses were from a procedure, so they are highly contaminated. You're going to take soap and water and wash and dry those, and then place them on your head. At this point, we're going to purge all of our lines for 20 seconds from a possible backflow of bacteria into the dental lines. So we're going to take our air water syringe, and we're going to press both the air and water buttons, purge the lines for 20 seconds. Okay, the 20 seconds is done, and then we will take our handpiece lines. And we press on the rheostat for any bacteria that might have gone back into the handpiece, and we're going to purge, pressing on the rheostat, purge the handpiece line for 20 seconds also. This can either be done in the sink or in the cuspidor if your lines did not reach. Okay. We're going to organize our unit by placing our instruments in the cassette. forget your air water syringe tip. This is in pre-clinic sanitization. If during client care, it would be a disposable air water syringe tip, and that would be discarded. Your handpiece would be removed from the tubing, and it would have been placed in a handpiece cassette. All your other disposable items are removed, so you can use your headrest cover as a garbage container. And at this point, you're going to take all the barriers and any disposable items and remove them. So HVE tip is also disposable. Saliva ejector, you have to be very careful in how you discard the tip, that you do not remove the rubber ring that is where the saliva ejector is inserted. And that garbage can be removed and put in regular garbage. And all barrier tape is removed. So if you put 5 pieces on in your unit, make sure you remove the 5 pieces and discard them. Placing your cassettes, your rubber mat, and during client care you would have a bib chain. You're going to remove those items, place them on the tray, and take them to the sterilizing room for sterilization. Upon returning to the unit, you're going to place the contaminated instrument tray on your back counter, and it will be sanitized at a later time. Taking a paper towel, you're going to move to your suction area and remove the strainer out of the cuspidor, cupping that strainer in the paper towel and taking it over to the sink. You throw out that paper towel and rinse the strainer well of all debris that is caught in the strainer. Using a disinfectant wipe, we're going to clean the strainer of all debris. Throw out those cavi wipes and take 2 new cavi wipes. Wrap the strainer in those cavi wipes and leave it on the back counter at the back of the sink to further disinfect while you are sanitizing the remaining part of the unit. Okay, your suction solution. We're going to use an enzyme solution through the suction lines, and whenever you immerse the suction tubing into the container, you don't want the end of the tubing to touch the sides of the inside the container, otherwise it would have to be sanitized later on. You want a gurgling sound. And that will also help break down what's caught in the lines. 1/3 was in the high volume suction, 1/3 is going to be suctioned into the saliva ejector. And the remaining solution, if you have a cuspidor, is going to rinse out the cuspidor. If you do not have a cuspidor in your unit, it would go down the sink. The container is then put on the back counter as it has been touching a contaminated counter. All right, we're going to start the wipe down of the unit, so taking a cavity wipe in each hand. We're going to start with the dental light, the operating light, and at this point we're just going to wipe down the handles. Very thorough wipe down of the handles. Do not touch the glass reflector with the disinfecting wipes, as the glass reflector is hot and a cold wipe will crack the glass reflector. And also do not touch with the disinfecting wipe the plastic shield, as it will crackle and break the shield eventually. Go down to the U, wipe down the U of the operating light. Make sure you wipe down even though it was covered with a barrier tape, the on-off switch, and wiping all surfaces of the arm using a full flat cavity wipe. You're wiping down the full length of the arm. If you cannot reach the operating light arm, then you need to lower the chair as it moves in as one unit. Get all surfaces off the pole. And then we will move on to the bracket table arm, wiping all surfaces. At any point, if your wipes become dry or soiled, you are going to discard those and get 2 new wipes. You always want a constant wet surface of solution as you're wiping. Okay, the bracket table, we're going to wipe from the arm to the tray. Wipe all surfaces of the tray itself. And also, always make sure you have a flat surface of wipe, that you're not wiping with your utility gloves, but that you have a barrier of that disinfectant wipe. At the front, you're going to, without turning the dials, you're going to wipe all the switches. Wipe the front. Moving to the bracket table tubing, you're going to wipe down the bar. And let's start with the air water syringe. You're going to take that in your hands, and don't just hold it, wipe it well. And holding it in one cavity wipe, you're wiping down the full length right to underneath the bracket table, the full length of the tubing. Before you place it back on the holder, you're wiping well the outside and the inside of the holder. If we see blood, it's usually on the outside of the holder, so make sure you wipe all surfaces. Holding your air water syringe, it's replaced holding it in the disinfectant wipe. Wipe the bar between the tubing and your handpiece tubing, again wiping the end, not just holding, full length of the tubing, and all surfaces of the holder before replacing it on the bracket holder. There are also wires underneath in some units. Make sure you get the smaller wires cleaned well. And holding it in a cavity wipe, place it down on the holder. All right, we're going to move to the suction area at this point. We are moving to the suction area. Move your cuspidor out of the way, and you're going to remove the top of the suction trap. Okay. You're going to do a visual inspection of the filter that is within. If a majority of the holes are clear, then the filter does not need to be changed. There is a process if the majority of the holes are clogged. If it is just white debris, then that can go in regular garbage. If there's anything that could possibly look like amalgam fillings, anything silver or anything black that could possibly be amalgam fillings, then you would have to notify the technologist in your area to bring over the Mercon container, and the suction filter would be placed in a Mercon container, as that the mercury within the amalgams cannot go to landfill sites. All right, the lid is placed back on. Cavity wipes are taken, and we're going to wipe down, or disinfectant wipes are taken, and we're going to wipe down the suction area. So where you touched the top of the filter, you're going to wipe down that area and wipe the entire suction box. We'll move to the water bottle area, to the front. Wipe down all switches, dials, and the water bottle itself. And then we're moving to the cuspidor area where we will wipe down the cup holder and the water dispensing area. At this point, you will just wipe the outside of the cuspidor bowl, the bar that joins to the tubing, and then the suction line itself. Wipe the high volume suction well at the end, just don't hold it in your hand. Wipe the switch in that area, and then you need to wipe just an arm's length of the tubing as the remainder remains on the ground. If you see visible debris on the tubing, please wipe the entire tubing. Inside and outside of the bracket holders, and holding the tubing and the cavity wipe you will replace in the holder. Saliva ejector, wiped well. An arm's length of the tubing, and the holder again. Always make sure that as you're replacing items back in the holder, you don't let your fingers wander away from your cavity wipe when replacing. Okay, as you saw, high volume suction fell on the floor, so again, we're going to re-wipe and place it back in the holder. And if you touch the disinfectant wipes to the floor, then you would get new wipes before wiping. The inside of the bowl is water spout is disinfected, and the inside of the bowl, making sure you clean well underneath the rim of the bowl. Clean the bowl, and do not clean anything else with your disinfectant wipes. After that, you discard those wipes. Taking wipes, we're going to move to the dental chair headrest area. Backrest, making sure you wipe down the area where the switches were, the adjustment switches, the back of the backrest, and the front area of the backrest. The arms of the chair, making sure to get well into the folds of the arms. And the adjustment to let your client in and out of the chair needs to be wiped down. Before moving to the seat area, you're going to make sure that the metal areas that join the backrest to the seat are wiped down well, as these are catch basins for debris. new wipes if needed. You're going to wipe down the seat area of the chair, not just the top, but the sides of the seat area. And when you get to the foot area, please wipe that area down, but people have put their dirty shoes in that area, so do not go back and re-wipe other areas of the chair with those same wipes. Wipe down the base of the chair. The power box. At the front of the chair. Watch your head as you're coming back up, that you don't hit your head. And you're also doing a visual of the very base of the chair to see if there's any debris or if it needs to be wiped with a disinfecting wipe. And most likely those need to be discarded as they are soiled. The rheostat will be wiped down. But it will remain at the back of the chair as we will need it for towards the end of sanitization. And once you have been at the floor, you want to discard any wipes as you have been at a dirty floor area. Okay, we're going to take new wipes and wipe down the operator stool. So both sides of the backrest. The metal bar that joins the seat to the backrest. The seat and the sides. The chair adjustments. To do a visual check of the base of the chair. We're moving to the DA stool, dental assistant stool. You're wiping down the abdominal support, the adjustment in that area, and the metal bar that attaches to the seat area, and all surfaces of the seat. Next, for new wipes, we're going to the back counter area. So we're wiping down the back top shelf. If there were any items on the back top shelf, if they were plastic, you would wipe them down also and move them to a clean area that you had just wiped. And then we're going to do the top and sides of the operatory divider walls. Always make sure you have a cavi wipe in each hand when wiping, so you don't recontaminate something that you've already wiped down. When wiping down the walls, never place your knees down on the contaminated floor, but you would have to do a squatting posture to thoroughly wipe. You've been close to the floor, so get 2 new wipes. As most likely going to the other walls, your wipes would have become soiled and dry. When moving things out of the way, you're going to hold them in a cavi wipe, and as Tanya moved the cuspidor out of the way, she held that area with a cavi wipe before moving. so discarding those wipes, we're going to get 2 wipes again, and we'll move to the backsplash area. So we're going to wipe down not just the wall that is the backsplash, we're going to wipe down the arm of the computer monitor. We will use soap and water to wipe the front of the screen, so do not use your disinfectant wipe on the front screen of the monitor. So wiping down the backsplash, the cord to the X-ray viewer, would be wiped down. The X-ray viewer itself is wiped. Soap dispenser. Paper towel holder. And if you do not wipe the hand sanitizer when you were wiping the operatory walls, then you would disinfect it at this time also. Okay, discard those wipes. We're going to take, at this point we're going to take the strainer for the cuspidor, and we're going to replace it back in the cuspidor, holding in a wipe and let it drop into the bowl carefully, and throw out those wipes. Alright, so taking 2 new wipes, we're going to wipe down the countertop areas. So we're going to start on the right hand side, moving the keyboard out of the way. We're going to wipe down a large clean area of the countertop. Lightly wipe the keyboard itself and the underside of the keyboard, because you want a clean surface to meet a clean surface. The mouse will also be wiped down and placed in the clean area, holding it in a cavity wipe as it's moved to the clean area. The instrument, so continue moving, making a clean area. You're going to take your instrument tray, holding one area in the cavity wipe, wipe all surfaces. And place in your clean area, so clean meets clean. Client mirror is wiped with a cavity wipe, with a disinfectant wipe. Client glasses, make sure you wipe these well, as the client's makeup and other things are on those glasses. Continue wiping your surfaces and your suction container, holding it in a cavity wipe. Wipe the top rim, the underside, and place it in your clean area. If you did touch with your suction tubing the inside, you would wipe down the inside of that container also. Continue moving across. Take your disinfectant wipe container, wipe down all surfaces, and you're moving it to your clean side. The remainder of your countertop. And the last area you will wipe is the sink faucet and the inside of the sink. Do not forget to wipe the inside of the sink. New wipes in each hand. We're wiping the cupboard fronts. We're wiping the fronts of the doors and especially the drawer pulls. Be careful with your gloves, as the edges of the drawer pulls are sharp and you could easily rip your gloves. and discard those wipes. Taking a paper towel, we're going to lightly dampen it with water and adding a little bit of soap. And a disinfectant wipe in the other hand. We are going to clean the operator light. So it is not just the plastic shield and the reflector we're wiping all the other metal frame areas that we did not wipe when we were first disinfecting that area. So don't forget the metal frame in that area. And your cabbie wipe in your other hand will stabilize your light as you're wiping. If there is a lot of soap debris, you will take a dry paper towel and wipe that area. Otherwise it will go dry spotted. You could use that same paper towel and soap or you can get a new paper towel with some soap, and we're going to wipe the front of the computer monitor. So just very minimal amount of water and soap to wipe down the front of the monitor. Okay, throw out those wipes and paper towel. Before we deal with the garbage, we're going to check the floor for any debris, any disinfectant wipes we have lost along the way during sanitization, or any gauze, floss, any debris from the procedure, dental procedure. And that will be placed in the regular garbage. Taking a paper towel, you will open, we have now disinfected the fronts of the garbage door, so we're opening the door with a paper towel. We're removing the container with your paper towel. If you have minimal amount of garbage, you can depress the garbage and replace the garbage can in the cupboard. If not, if there is a lot of garbage, remove the bag, take the excess air out, and tie the garbage and place it in a larger garbage container located in the lab, and in the lab there are new garbage bags. Close the door with the side of your foot or using a paper towel. Take out 2 disinfectant wipes. Wipe down your container for the last time, where you have touched your container since moving into the clean area. Thoroughly wipe down all surfaces of the outside of your utility gloves. The gloves are textured, so make sure you thoroughly wipe between the fingers and the palm where they are textured to leave the solution to disinfect your gloves. Remove the gloves and place them on the counter. Remove the mask by the pinkies at the least contaminated area and discard directly in the garbage. Don't place them on your clean counter as they are contaminated. Remove your glasses, take directly to the sink and wash the glasses with soap and water. Once once they are dry, you can place them now on your clean counter. And washing your glasses is not a thorough wash of your hands, so wash your hands. The disinfectant wipes have left on the client mirror streaks on the mirror, so you're going to take a damp paper towel and remove any streaks that have been left from the disinfectant wipe. And you're going to do the same with the client glasses after they have been wiped with the disinfectant. Okay. At this point, you can return all the supplies to their drawers, into the cupboard. Your sanitization gloves will go back in the Ziploc bag, but please do not seal the Ziploc bag if we want them to dry. Raise the dental chair. Turn the master switch off. Empty the water bottle, so detach the water bottle, empty it in the sink. Once the water bottle is emptied, reattach the water bottle. Turn the master switch on, pressurize the water bottle. And purge all lines empty of any water, so there is minimal bacterial growth in the line. So that is your air water syringe, pressing the water, and also your handpiece lines need to be dry. Turn the power switch off to your unit. Using a paper towel, place the rheostat on the power box, rewash your hands, return the instrument tray to the storage cart, and your sanitization is complete.